Welcome the candidates to this series on the Virtual Educational and Exam Preparation Hub. Wish them well on their hunt for a satisfying government dream job through successful appearance in the SSC CGL Tier I exam. This is a curated model paper for practice for the upcoming SSC CGL Tier I 2026 exam.
Yeah, and that is exactly our mission today. We are going to treat this session like a total masterclass. We'll be walking through all 100 questions of Model Paper 14 sequentially, leaving absolutely nothing out.
Right.
But we aren't just going to read you an answer key. We're going to explain the why and, the how behind every single solution so that when you actually sit down for the real thing, you have the strategic framework to succeed.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because if you are listening right now, this isn't just passive background noise. I want you to be an active participant. Grab some scratch paper. You're the dedicated candidate here, and we are your guides.
Absolutely.
But, before I read that very first prompt, let's talk strategy. What are the actual stakes of this specific paper?
Well, the stakes are exactly 200 marks. You have 100 multiple choice questions standing in your way. And the rules of engagement here are incredibly strict. You earn a positive 2 marks for every correct answer you land.
Okay, 2 marks. That's good.
Yeah, but this is not a test where you can just guess wildly. There's a penalty system, right? You lose 0.5 marks for every wrong answer.
Oh, wow. So it's a real balancing act.
Exactly. It's a game of extreme accuracy just as much as it is a game of vast knowledge.
And what about that ticking clock? Because in my experience, the clock is the ultimate enemy in these exams. We only have 60 minutes to get through this entire 100-question paper. How on earth do you manage that kind of time limit without going into a total panic?
Right. It is entirely about strategic time banking. If we connect this to the bigger picture of test psychology, the absolute worst thing you can do is divide your 60 minutes evenly.
Wait, really? Like doing 15 minutes per section?
Yeah, do not spend 15 minutes per section. That is a massive trap set by the test makers. Instead, you need to blast through the general awareness and English comprehension sections. Aim for about 10 to 12 minutes for each of those.
Oh, because those are just pure recall, right?
Precisely. Those sections are memory-based. You either know the capital of a country or you don't. Staring at it won't make the memory magically appear. By moving swiftly there, you bank the remaining 35 to 40 minutes for the calculation-heavy sections, general intelligence and reasoning and quantitative aptitude.
I absolutely love that framework. Bank your time where it counts the most.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get right into the thick of it. Section A is general intelligence and reasoning. That is 25 questions, 50 marks.
Yeah, let's do it.
Give us a quick piece of advisory before I jump into question 1.
For this section, specifically for the analogies you're about to see, my vital tip is this. Always identify the core relationship in your own mind first before you even glance at the multiple choice options.
Like finding the pattern before you look at the answers.
Exactly. Ask yourself, is this a relationship of a worker to their tool? Is it a measure of physical intensity? Establish the underlying logic of the first pair and only then look for the matching logic in the answers.
Perfect. Let's test that theory. Question 1. Select the option related to the third word in the same way as the second is related to the first. The prompt is cobbler : shoes, double : blacksmith : ?
Okay, and the options?
The options they give us are A, iron, B, wood, C, gold, and D, cloth.
Okay, so let's apply that rule of logical deduction. Look at the first pair, cobbler and shoes. A cobbler is a skilled professional, right? A worker. What is the product of their labor? They craft or repair shoes.
Right.
So the foundational relationship is worker to the primary material they manipulate or the product they yield. Moving to the second half, a blacksmith is our worker. What material do they famously manipulate?
Well, let's see. If we look at the options, wood would require a carpenter, obviously.
Right. Gold would require a goldsmith. Cloth implies a tailor or weaver. A blacksmith, by definition, forges iron. Therefore, the logical deduction leads us directly to option A, iron.
Makes total sense when you break it down like that. Moving to question 2, it asks us to do the same thing. Big colon, huge, double colon, small colon ? Our options are A, giant, B, tiny, C, large, and D, big.
Let's see.
My instinct here is that the relationship is completely shifted from the first question.
What's fascinating here is exactly that shift. We are no longer looking at a worker and their material. Huge is simply an extreme amplified form of the word big. It's a relationship of degree or intensity.
Okay, so a matter of scale.
Yeah. So your task is to find the extreme degree of the word small. If we evaluate the options, giant, large, and big are all essentially antonyms. They go in the wrong direction entirely.
Right, so tiny is the amplified extreme form of small. The correct answer has to be B, tiny.
Exactly. You got it.
Let's transition from words to numbers. Question 3 asks us to select the number that completes the analogy. 30:5, :42:? The options are A, 8, B, 5, C, 7, and D, 6.
With number analogies, I always advise checking for basic arithmetic relationships first. Don't overcomplicate it until you absolutely have to. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division.
So how do we naturally get from 30 to 5?
The simplest path is division. You divide 30 by 6 to get 5. So let's assume the established rule is divide the first number by 6. Now let's apply that hypothesized rule to the second pair.
Okay, so take 42, divide it by 6, and you get 7. Is 7 an option? Yes, it is. The correct answer is C, 7.
Spot on. Let's see if that simple arithmetic holds up for question 4.
Complete the analogy, 7:53, :5? The options are A, 27, B, 31, C, 25, and D, 29. Okay, right away, dividing or multiplying by a simple integer isn't going to get me from 7 to 53 cleanly.
Exactly. And 53 is a prime number anyway, which is a massive clue that simple multiplication won't be the core logic. When linear math fails, you immediately need to look at squares and cubes.
Okay, so let's look at the first number, 7. What is 7 squared? It's 49.
Right. Now, how far away is 49 from our target number of 53? It's exactly 4 units away. So we've just uncovered the hidden formula in squared plus 4.
Oh, that's clever. Now, the real test is applying this to the second number, 5. 5 squared gives us 25. Add that constant of 4 to 25, and you arrive at 29. Let's check the options. Yes, D is 29.
That is incredibly satisfying, isn't it? It's like finding the hidden key to a door.
Totally. Let's look at question 5. Select the letter cluster that completes the analogy, FAN::HCP, :CR::? The choices are A, ECT, B, ECU, C, DCT, and D, ECS.
Whenever you face letter clusters, you want to immediately chart the alphabetical advancement. Visualize the alphabet or literally write it down on your scratch paper. Let's map the shift from FAN to H-CP.
Okay, so from F to H, F, G, H. That is a forward jump of 2 letters, or plus 2. Yes. From A to C, A, B, C. Another plus 2. From N to P, N, O, P. Exactly plus 2 again. The uniform rule is an advancement of 2 steps for every single letter.
Got it. So apply this rigidly to CAR. C plus 2 lands on E. A plus 2 lands on C, R plus 2 lands on T. String them together and you get ECT. The correct answer is A.
Perfect. Moving to categorization.
Yeah. Question 6. Select the odd one out from the following. A, cotton. B, wheat. C, rice. And D, maize. Okay, I want to take a swing at this one.
Go for it.
If I'm looking at wheat, rice, and maize, those are all staple food grains. Like you harvest them to eat them. Cotton is definitely an agricultural crop, but it's a fiber crop. It's a cash crop used to make textiles and clothing. You don't eat a cotton shirt.
Right, unless you're very hungry and very confused.
Exactly. So by sheer utility, the odd one out has to be A, cotton.
Your deduction is spot on.
Huh.
You successfully categorized them by their primary agricultural end use, which is the exact logic the exam setter was looking for.
Let's try another odd one out. Question 7 gives us 4 numbers. A, 33, B, 45, C, 11, and D, 22. This one relies on spotting basic numerical properties very quickly. Look at the numbers 33, 11, and 22. What jumps out at you?
Well, they share a very obvious, undeniable common trait. They are all direct multiples of 11. They are completely and evenly divisible by 11.
Precisely. However, 45 breaks that pattern completely. It is not divisible by 11, therefore it stands out from the group. The answer is B, 45.
Next, we dive into series completion. Question 8. Find the letter that continues the series Z, X, V, T, and then a question mark. Our options are A, S, B, Q, C, U, N, D, R.
This utilizes the exact same skill set as the letter cluster analogy we did earlier. We are mapping the alphabet, but pay attention to the direction. Z to X, X to V, we are moving backwards. Let's quantify it.
Z down to X is a step of -2. X down to V is -2. V down to T is -2.
The pattern is rigidly established. To find the missing letter, we take T and move backwards by exactly 2 letters. One step back is S, the second step back is R. The answer is D, R.
Question 9. Find the number that completes the series. 1, 2, 5, 10, 17, and a question mark. The options are A, 26, B, 25, C, 27, and D, 24.
Write those down and check the gaps.
Let me grab my scratch paper and look at the gaps between these numbers. Between 1 and 2, the gap is 1. Between 2 and 5, it's a gap of 3. From 5 to 10, the gap grows to 5. From 10 to 17, the gap is 7. Okay, I see it.
What's the pattern?
The amounts being added aren't static. They are consecutive odd numbers, 1, 3, 5, 7. Following that logical progression, the next odd number I need to add must be 9. So I take the last number in the series, 17, and add 9. That gives me 26. The answer is A, 26.
That was an excellent breakdown. Recognizing the rate of change, like the gaps between the gaps, is a crucial skill for number series. Let's see if you can spot the pattern in the next one.
I'm ready. Question 10. Find the number that completes the series. 6, 12, 24, 48, question mark. Options are A, 108, B, 96, C, 72, and D, 84.
If you look at the gaps here, they are 6, 12, and 24. While that is technically a pattern, it's much faster to look for a multiplier when numbers scale up this quickly. Look at the relationship between adjacent terms.
Oh, I see. Each term is exactly double the previous one. 6 multiplied by 2 is 12. 12 times 2 is 24. 24 times 2 is 48.
Exactly. To find the next number, we just continue the doubling. 48 multiplied by 2 is 96. The correct answer is B.
Question 11. Find the number that completes the series. 1,248, question mark. Options. A, 1.5. B, 4. C, 1.6. D, 2.
Now the numbers are descending, and they are descending rapidly. A rapid descent usually implies division, just as a rapid ascent implies multiplication. Let's test that hypothesis. What do you divide 1,000 by to get 200?
You divide by 5. Does that rule hold up for the rest of the sequence? Let's check. 200 divided by 5 is indeed 40. 40 divided by 5 is indeed 8. The pattern is completely solid.
So to find our answer, we must divide 8 by 5. 8 divided by 5 is 1 with a remainder of 3, so 1 and 35ths. In decimal form, 35ths is 0.6, so 1.6. The answer is C.
Question 12. Complete the series. 2, 6, 18, 54, question mark. Options are A, 108, B, 150, C, 144, D, 162. Let's see, the numbers are growing and the gaps are getting wide fast.
Yeah, addition seems too slow here.
Let's try multiplication. 2 times 3 gets me to 6. 6 times 3 gets me to 18. 18 times 3 gets me to 54. Okay, the multiplier is a constant times 3. Now I need to do 54 times 3. If I'm doing this mentally under pressure, I break it apart.
Good strategy.
50 times 3 is 150, and 4 times 3 is 12. Add them back together. 150 plus 12 is 162. The answer is D, 162.
That's perfect mental math. Breaking multiplication down into smaller, manageable chunks saves you valuable seconds on the exam, and it reduces the chance of carrying a number incorrectly.
Let's shift gears. Question 13 moves us into coding and decoding. In a certain code language, Word is written as TLOA. How is game written in that same code? Our options are A, DXJB, B, DSJC, C, CXJB, and D, DYJB.
We need to act like cryptographers here. Let's decipher the transformation from WORD to TLOA, letter by letter, W to T. If you know your alphabetical positions, W is the 23rd letter, T is the 20th. That's a step backward of exactly 3.
Let's look at the next letter. O to L is 15, L is 12. Again, backward 3. R to O, R is 18, O is 15, minus 3. Finally, D to A, D is 4, A is 1, minus 3. The universal rule for this code is simply minus 3.
Now, we apply this ruthlessly to the word GAME. G minus 3 is D. A minus 3 loops us back around the end of the alphabet to X. M minus 3 is J. E minus 3 is B. Putting those derived letters together, we get DXJB. The correct answer is
Question 14. If A equals 1, B equals 2, all the way through the alphabet to Z equals 26, what is the sum of the position values of the letters of the word BOX? Options are A, 40, B, 41, C, 39, and D, 43.
This is where having that alphabet chart scribbled on your page really pays off.
Let me do the live math here. B is the second letter of the alphabet, so that value is 2. O is the 15th letter. X is near the end. It's the 24th letter. So my equation is 2 plus 15 plus 24. 2 plus 15 gives me 17. 17 plus 24 is 41. The answer is B, 41.
You're exactly right. Memorizing the numerical position of the alphabet or writing it down the second you were allowed to start the test is a huge time saver for these exact types of alphanumeric questions.
Question 15. In a code language, nice E is written as ECIN. How is F4G written in that code? The choices are A, GOSR, B, ROGF, C, GORF, D, GOOF.
Well, after the math of the last two questions, this one is refreshingly straightforward. You don't need to count letters or map alphabetical positions. Just look at the visual arrangement of the letters.
Right. NICE becomes ECIN. They haven't shifted the letters. They've simply reversed the entire word like reading a mirror reflection.
Exactly. So reading FROG backwards gives us G, then O, then R, then FGORF. The answer is C.
Moving on to question 16. We're getting into blood relations now, which always trip people up. Here's the prompt. Pointing to a boy, Anu said, "He is the son of my grandfather's only child." How is the boy related to Anu? Options are A, father, B, uncle, C, cousin, and D, brother.
Blood relation questions are designed to sound like confusing riddles, but there is a reliable strategy. Map the family tree step by step backwards, starting from the perspective of the speaker.
Okay, so Anu says, my grandfather's only child. Let's pause there. Ask yourself, who is the only child of your own grandfather?
Right. If your grandfather only had one child, that child has to be your parent, either your mother or your father. So we can cross out the phrase, my grandfather's only child, and substitute it with the simpler phrase, my parent.
Oh, that makes it so much easier. Now read the sentence with the substitution. He is the son of my parent. The son of your own parent is undeniably your brother. The answer is D, brother.
That is a fantastic strategy, physically substituting the complex phrases with simpler ones as you solve them. Let's try that logic on question 17.
If PXQ means P is the father of Q, and PQ means P is the daughter of Q, then what does the equation PXQR tell us about the relationship between P and R options?
Wow.
A, P is the husband of RB, P is the brother of RC, P is the father of R, and D is the son of R.
With symbol relations, we have to decode the equation sequentially, piece by piece. The equation is P times Q divided by R. Let's look at the first part, PXQ. According to the prompt, this means P is the father of Q.
So write that down. We know two things. P is a male, and he is a parent to Q.
Now look at the second part of the equation, QR. The prompt tells us this means Q is the daughter of R, so R is also a parent to Q. Now combine the facts. We establish P is Q's father. If R is also Q's parent, R must be Q's mother.
Right, and if P is the father and R is the mother of the exact same child, Q, then P and R must be a married couple. Specifically, since P is the male, P is the husband of R, the answer is A.
You're flying through these.
Question 18 brings us to direction and distance. A man walks 15 meters towards north, then turns and walks 36 meters towards east. How far is he from the starting point? Options are A, 41 meters, B, 39 meters, C, 51 meters, D, 21 meters.
This requires visualizing the path on a 2D plane. He goes north, so imagine drawing a straight vertical line pointing up with a length of 15. Then he turns east, drawing a horizontal line to the right with a length of 36.
So this movement creates a perfect right-angle triangle.
Exactly. The question asks how far he is from the starting point. That's the shortest distance between start and finish, which is the hypotenuse of our triangle. We must use the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Let's calculate. 15 squared is 225.
And 36 squared is a bigger number, 1296. Add them together, 225 plus 1296 equals 1521. Now we need the square root of 1521. Here's a trick if you don't have a calculator.
Let's hear it.
You know 30 squared is 900 and 40 squared is 1600. 1521 is just under 1600 and the number ends in a 1. The only single digits that square to end in a 1 are 1 and 9. It's too close to 1600 to be 31, so it must be 39. The square root is 39. He is 39 meters away. The answer is B.
That estimation trick for square roots is brilliant, truly. Question 19 is another direction puzzle.
The sun rises in the east. If a boy stands facing the rising sun, his back is towards which direction? Options A, south, B, east, C, west, and D, north. I'll take this one and I'll use a visual analogy for you listening.
Go ahead.
Imagine you are standing on a beach at the crack of dawn. The sun is coming up right in front of you, cresting over the water. You are actively looking east. By the very definition of a compass, the direction directly behind you, the point where your back is facing, is the exact opposite of east. The opposite of east on a compass rose is west. So his back is towards the west. The answer is C.
That's simple spatial logic. You can't let the exam stress make you forget basic geography. Let's see what question 20 holds. It tests ranking logic.
Question 20. In a class, Ravi is ranked 15th from the top and 20th from the bottom. How many students are there in the class? Options are A, 35, B, 33, C, 36, and D, 34. My instinct is just to add 15 and 20 and say 35, but I feel like I'm falling into a trap.
You are absolutely sensing a trap. There is a very specific formula for this scenario. When you are given the position of one single person from both ends of a line or list, the total number of people is the sum of both positions minus 1.
Why do we subtract 1?
Because if you just add 15 and 20, you are counting Ravi twice. You count him once as part of the top 15 group, and you count him a second time as part of the bottom 20 group. You have to remove that duplicate count. So 15 plus 20 is 35. Subtract the duplicate Ravi, which is 1, and you get 34. There are precisely 34 students in the class. The answer is D.
Question 21. What is the angle between the hour hand and the minute hand of a clock at exactly 4.0? Options: A, 120 degrees, B, 90 degrees, C, 100 degrees, and D, 150 degrees.
Let's visualize an analog clock face showing exactly 4.0. The long minute hand is pointing straight up at the 12. The shorter hour hand is pointing precisely at the 4. We know a full circle is 360 degrees.
Right, and a clock face is divided into 12 equal hour segments.
Correct. So the angle between each adjacent hour mark, for example, the space from 12 to 1 is 360 divided by 12, which is 30 degrees. At 4.0, the hands are separated by 4 of these 30-degree hour increments. Let's count them. From 12 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and 3 to 4. That is 4 increments. 4 increments multiplied by 30 degrees each equals 120 degrees. The correct answer is A, 120 degrees.
Question 22 brings us to syllogisms. These can be brain benders. We are given statements: some pens are pencils, all pencils are erasers. Then we have conclusions. I, some pens are erasers. 2, all erasers are pencils. The options are A, neither follows. B, only I follows. C, only 2 follows. D, both follow. How do we untangle this?
The absolute best way to solve syllogisms is by drawing mental or actual Venn diagrams. Let's do that together. First statement: some pens are pencils. Imagine a circle labeled pens overlapping partially with a circle labeled pencils. That overlapping area represents the sum.
Okay, I had that drawn. Second statement: all pencils are erasers. This means the entire pencil circle must be completely engulfed by a much larger circle labeled erasers.
Exactly. Now let's evaluate the conclusions based on our drawing. Conclusion I, some pens are erasers. Because a pencil circle is entirely inside the eraser circle, that little overlapping chunk of pens that are also pencils must also be sitting inside the eraser's boundary. So yes, some pens are definitively erasers. Conclusion I logically follows.
Now look at conclusion 2. All erasers are pencils. This reverses the relationship inappropriately. Just because all pencils fit inside the eraser category doesn't mean the reverse is true. The eraser circle is larger. There is empty space out there representing erasers that are not pencils. Conclusion 2 does not follow. Therefore, only conclusion I follows. The answer is B.
Well reasoned.
Question 23. This gives us a statement: switch off the lights when they are not in use. And then gives us 2 conclusions. 1, this helps save electricity. 2, electricity should not be wasted. Options: A, only 2 follows. B, neither follows. C, both follow. D, only I follows.
This question is testing your ability to identify implicit assumptions and logical consequences. Why would an authority figure issue the statement, switch off the lights when not in use? What is the direct physical result of doing this action?
It stops the consumption of power. Therefore, by definition, it implicitly helps save electricity. Conclusion I is a direct logical consequence of the statement.
Furthermore, what is the underlying moral or practical philosophy driving someone to want to save electricity in the first place? It's the belief that power is a valuable resource that shouldn't be squandered. So, conclusion 2, that electricity should not be wasted, is the foundational assumption driving the initial statement. Both conclusions represent the logical intent and the practical consequence of the statement. The answer is C, both follow.
Question 24 is a word problem. In a group of 50 people, 30 like apples, 25 like oranges, and 10 like neither. How many like both? Options: A, 10, B, 20, C, 5, D, 15.
This requires overlapping set math very similar to our Venn diagram earlier. We start by looking at our total population, 50 people. However, the prompt tells us 10 people like neither fruit. They are completely outside our circles of interest. We must exclude them from our fruit liking calculations entirely.
So 50 total minus 10 non-fruit eaters leaves us with exactly 40 people who like at least one of the fruits. Keep that number 40 in your head.
Now, if we simply add the number of stated apple likers and orange likers together, we get 30 plus 25, which totals 55. But wait, we just established we only have 40 actual fruit-liking people in our active group. Why is our calculated total 55?
Oh, it's because the people who like both fruits were counted twice. Once when we counted the apple group and a second time when we counted the orange group. To find that overlapping number of dual fruit lovers, we just subtract the actual number of people, 40, from our inflated double-counted sum, 55. 55 minus 40 is 15. 15 people must like both. The answer is D.
Nailed it.
We have arrived at question 25, the very last one in section A. If at means plus, hashtag means X, day means ek, and a day means at, then what is the value of this equation? 36 and 6. 6 tag 4, $5 at 3 equals options A, 22, B, 24, C, 20, and D, 21. Okay, let me be very careful and substitute these symbols before I attempt any math.
Take your time.
36, the ampersand stands for division, so 36 divided by 6. Next is the hash, which is multiply, so times 4. Then the dollar sign is minus, so minus 5. Finally, the at symbol is plus, so plus 3. Okay, my new clean equation is 36, 6 by 4, 5, plus 3.
Excellent. Now that we have a standard mathematical equation, we must execute the order of operations strictly. Bobo-Amas, brackets, orders, division and multiplication, addition and subtraction. We have no brackets or orders. We start with division. 36 divided by 6 is 6. The equation is now simplified to 6 by 4, 5 plus 3.
Next step in Bobo-Amas is multiplication. 6 times 4 is 24. The equation shrinks again to 24, 5 plus 3. Finally, we handle addition and subtraction, moving from left to right. 24 minus 5 is 19. 19 plus 3 brings us to our final number, 22. The correct answer is A, 22.
And just like that, we have officially completed Section A.
Yes. If you are listening to this and keeping pace, pausing the audio to do the math alongside us, I want to take a brief moment to congratulate you. You've just worked your way through 25 complex logic puzzles. Stay patient, keep your scratch paper handy, and continue actively engaging with the material. We are moving right along to Section B, General Awareness.
Now remember our overarching time strategy. This specific section tests immediate factual recall. History, polity, geography, economy, science. You shouldn't be lingering or agonizing here.
Right. If you don't know the historical fact, staring at the ceiling for 5 minutes won't magically make it appear in your memory. You are just burning time. Make your best educated guess, eliminate obvious wrong answers, and move on to save that precious time for the quantitative aptitude section coming up next.
Let's put that speed strategy to the test.
Question 26. Which dynasty built the famous Khajuraho group of temples? Options: A. Rashtrakuta, B. Chandela, C. Chola, D. Pallava.
The Khajuraho group of monuments are world-renowned, famous for their intricate Nagar-style architectural symbolism and their stunning, sometimes explicit sculptures. These masterpieces were primarily constructed between the 9th and 11th centuries. The rulers responsible for commissioning this incredible complex belonged to the Chandela dynasty, so the correct answer is B. Chandela.
Question 27. Who was the last Governor-General of India? Options: A. Warren Hastings, B. Lord Canning, C. Rajagopalachari, D. Lord Mountbatten. I know Mountbatten is a huge figure in this era, so my eye immediately goes to D.
And that is exactly the trap the test setters want you to fall into. It is a very common mistake. Lord Mountbatten was indeed a massive figure. He was the last British Governor-General of India. However, read the question carefully. It doesn't specify British. It asks for the last Governor-General overall.
Ah, I see.
After Mountbatten departed, the esteemed Chakravarti Rajagopalachari took over the office. He guided the nation through the transition period until the Constitution came into effect in 1950. He was not only the absolute last Governor-General of India, but he was also the first and only Indian citizen to ever hold that post. The correct answer is C.
Oh, that's tricky. You have to read every single word of the prompts. Let's look at question 28. Who is popularly known as the Nightingale of India? Options: A. Lata Mangeshkar, B. Indira Gandhi, C. Vijayalakshmi Pandit, D. Sarojini Naidu.
This is another question where popular culture might mislead you. Lata Mangeshkar was a legendary playback singer, and people often associate the word nightingale with singing. However, the official historical title, Nightingale of India, or Pratya Kokila, was bestowed upon Sarojini Naidu by Mahatma Gandhi himself.
She was a prominent, highly influential poet, a fierce freedom fighter, and she broke massive barriers by becoming the first Indian woman to serve as the president of the Indian National Congress. The correct answer is D. Sarojini Naidu.
Perfect.
Question 29. The Gateway of India in Mumbai was built to commemorate the visit of which monarch? Options: A. King George VV, Queen Victoria, C. King Edward VII, D. Queen Elizabeth II.
The Gateway of India is perhaps the most iconic symbol of Mumbai's skyline. It's a massive, beautiful archway. It was erected for a very specific historical event to commemorate the landing of King George V and his wife, Queen Mary, at Apollo Bunder during their grand visit to India in the year 1911. Therefore, the answer is A, King George V.
Question 30 transitions us into polity. Who is the constitutional head of the executive of a state in India? The options they give us are A, the Speaker, B, the Governor, C, the Chief Minister, D, the President. Now, the Chief Minister is usually the one in the news making decisions, so is it C?
That's a great observation about who is in the news, but the question asks about the constitutional head. If we compare the state structure to the central national structure, it clarifies things beautifully. At the center in New Delhi, the Prime Minister is the head of the government wielding real political power, but the President is the constitutional nominal head of the executive branch.
Oh, and that structure is mirrored at the state level. While the chief minister wields the real day-to-day political power, the governor acts as the formal constitutional head of the state's executive branch. The answer is B, the governor.
That structural comparison makes a lot of sense.
Question 31. The Vidhan Sabha of a state is also known as the options: A, Council of States, B, House of the People, C, Legislative Assembly, D, Legislative Council.
In the Indian state legislature system, many states have a bicameral setup, meaning two houses. The lower house, where members are directly elected by the public in general elections, is called the Vidhan Sabha in Hindi. Its direct English translation and its formal title in English proceedings is the Legislative Assembly.
And for context, the upper house, the Vidhan Parishad, translates to the Legislative Council. The question asks for the Vidhan Sabha, so the answer is C, Legislative Assembly.
Correct.
Question 32. Which constitutional amendment lowered the voting age in India from 21 to 18 years? Options: A, 42nd Amendment, B, 44th Amendment, C, 73rd Amendment, D, 61st Amendment.
This was a monumental, massive shift in India's democratic process. By dropping the age by 3 years, it essentially enfranchised millions upon millions of youth overnight, drastically changing the political calculus of the nation. The voting age was officially lowered from 21 to 18 by the 61st Constitutional Amendment Act, which took place in 1988. The correct answer is D, 61st Amendment.
Question 33. A national emergency in India is proclaimed under which article of the Constitution? Options: A, Article 352, B, Article 356, C, Article 360, D, Article 370.
The Indian Constitution is prepared for extreme scenarios and provides for 3 distinct types of emergencies. Let's eliminate the wrong ones. Article 356 provides for a state emergency, often referred to as president's rule when a state government breaks down. Article 360 is reserved for a financial emergency.
But for a full-blown national emergency, which can only be declared due to war, external aggression, or armed rebellion, the correct constitutional provision is Article 352. The answer is A.
Let's move into geography.
Question 34. Which is the largest river delta in the world? Options: A, the Mississippi Delta, B, the Sundarbans Delta, C, the Nile Delta, D, the Amazon Delta.
While the Mississippi, Nile, and Amazon are massive, vital river systems, none of them claim the title for the largest delta. The title for the largest river delta in the world goes to the sprawling Ganga-Brahmaputra Delta. In common parlance, and on most exams, it is more commonly known as the Sundarbans Delta. It spans a massive area across both India and Bangladesh and is globally famous for hosting the largest contiguous mangrove forests in the world, not to mention the Bengal tiger. The answer is B, the Sundarbans Delta.
Question 35. The Strait of Gibraltar separates Europe from which continent? Options: A, North America, B, Australia, C, Africa, D, Asia. Okay, let me try to picture this. If I try to visualize a world map, I'm looking at the southern edge of Europe, right where Spain tapers off. Just a very narrow strip of water separates the southern tip of Spain from the landmass directly south of it. That country across the water is Morocco, and Morocco is firmly located on the continent of Africa, so the strait must separate Europe from Africa. The answer is C, Africa.
That is perfect geographic visualization. You nailed it. The Strait of Gibraltar is incredibly important geopolitically because it serves as the sole natural gateway connecting the vast Atlantic Ocean to the Mediterranean Sea.
Question 36. Mount Everest lies on the border of Nepal and which other country? Options: A, India, B, Bhutan, C, Pakistan, D, China.
The mighty Mount Everest, standing as the highest geographical peak on Earth, doesn't sit entirely inside one nation. It physically straddles an international border. To the south of the mountain lies Nepal. The northern side of the mountain descends into the Tibet Autonomous Region, which is part of China. Therefore, the correct answer to complete the border pair is D, China.
Question 37. Which is the longest river in Asia? Options: A, Yangtze, B, Ganga, C, Indus, D, Mekong. I know the Ganga and Indus are massively important, but are they the longest?
It's a fair question because the Ganga and Indus are culturally and historically monumental in South Asia. However, in terms of sheer geographical length, they don't take the top spot. The longest river on the entire Asian continent, and impressively, the third longest river in the entire world, sitting just behind the Nile and the Amazon, is the Yangtze River. It flows entirely within the borders of China, stretching for over 6,300 kilometers. The answer is A, Yangtze.
Let's pivot to economics. Question 38. Who is regarded as the father of economics? Options: A, David Ricardo, B, Adam Smith, C, Karl Marx, D, J.M. Keynes.
We are looking for the historical figure who essentially formalized economics as a distinct modern discipline. In 1776, a foundational text titled The Wealth of Nations was published. This book introduced concepts like the invisible hand and established many of the core principles of modern capitalism and free markets that we still study today. Its author is universally recognized in academia as the father of economics. That author is the Scottish economist Adam Smith. The answer is B.
Question 39. What does the PIN in an ATM PIN stand for? Options. A, public identity number. B, personal internet number. C, personal identification number. D, private internet number.
This is practical, everyday knowledge. Think about the action. When you step up to a cash machine, you are prompted to enter a secret numeric code. Why? To securely prove to the bank's computer that you are the authorized owner of that account. Let's spell out the acronym based on its function. It is a number used for the purpose of identification, and it is entirely strictly personal to you. Therefore, it stands for personal identification number. The answer is C.
Question 40. Which is the oldest stock exchange in Asia? Options. A, National Stock Exchange. B, Calcutta Stock Exchange. C, Delhi Stock Exchange. D, Bombay Stock Exchange.
The history behind this is actually quite charming. Long before massive digital trading floors existed, back in 1875, a small group of stockbrokers would meet informally under a sprawling banyan tree in Mumbai to conduct their trades. This informal gathering formally established itself and grew into an institution. That institution is the Bombay Stock Exchange, or BSE. It holds the prestigious title of being not just India's oldest, but the absolute oldest stock exchange in all of Asia. The correct answer is D.
Let's move into science. Question 41. What is the chemical formula of carbon dioxide? Options. A, CO2. B, CO, C, O2. D, C2O.
In basic chemistry nomenclature, the name of the compound itself usually gives away the formula if you know how to read it. The word carbon indicates the presence of one single carbon atom, which is represented by the letter C. The second part, dioxide, uses the prefix di, which means two. So two oxygen atoms, which is represented as O2. Combine those two pieces of information and you have one carbon atom covalently bonded to two oxygen atoms, CO2. The answer is A.
Question 42. What is the pH value of an acidic solution? Options. A, equal to 14. B, less than 7. C, equal to 7. D, greater than 7. Let me do a quick science refresher for our listeners here. The pH scale is how chemists measure how acidic or basic a water-based solution is. The scale ranges from 0 to 14. Right in the dead center is 7, which represents a perfectly neutral state like pure drinking water. Anything greater than 7 on the scale is considered basic or alkaline like bleach or baking soda. Anything less than 7 indicates acidity like lemon juice or battery acid. So an acidic solution must, by definition, have a pH less than 7. The answer is B.
That is a very concise and accurate explanation. The scale is actually logarithmic too, meaning a pH of 5 is 10 times more acidic than a pH of 6, which is an interesting detail. But for the purposes of this exam, knowing the basic less than 7 rule is exactly what's needed to secure the point.
Question 43. Which blood cells help the body fight infection? Options. A, platelets. B, plasma. C, white blood cells. D, red blood cells.
Human blood is a complex mixture made of several distinct components, each with a very specific job. Red blood cells act like delivery trucks, carrying oxygen from the lungs to the rest of the body. Platelets act like the body's emergency sandbags. They rush to a cut and clump together to help your blood clot and stop bleeding. But the actual soldiers of your immune system, the mobile infantry cells dedicated to actively defending your body, hunting down and destroying infectious diseases and foreign invaders, are the leukocytes. In plain English, they are commonly known as white blood cells. The answer is C.
Question 44. Which part of a plant absorbs water and minerals from the soil? Options. A, the leaves. B, the flowers. C, the stem. D, the roots.
Every part of a plant has a specialized function. The leaves act as solar panels responsible for catching sunlight and driving photosynthesis. The flowers handle reproduction. The stem acts as a structural pillar and a highway, transporting nutrients up and down. But the physical, active absorption of water and essential dissolved minerals deep from within the earth is the primary biological function of the root system, which simultaneously serves to anchor the plant in place against the wind. The answer is D, the roots.
Question 45. What type of energy does a moving object possess? Options. A, kinetic energy. B, potential energy. C, chemical energy. D, nuclear energy.
Let's contrast two concepts. Potential energy is essentially stored energy. Imagine a heavy boulder sitting precariously on the very top of a steep hill. It isn't moving, but it has the potential to do a lot of work if it falls. But the exact moment you push that boulder and starts rolling down the hill, gathering speed, the energy of its actual physical motion is called kinetic energy. By definition in physics, any object that is currently in motion possesses kinetic energy. The answer is A.
Question 46. Which device converts sound energy into electrical energy? Options: A. Electric motor. B. Microphone. C. Loudspeaker. D. Battery.
Think about the very mechanics of how we are recording this deep dive right now. Our vocal cords are vibrating, producing sound energy in the form of invisible acoustic pressure waves traveling through the air. A sensitive diaphragm inside the device sitting in front of us captures those physical waves and translates them into an electrical signal that a computer can read and record. That remarkable translation device is a microphone. Interestingly, a loudspeaker does the exact reverse, taking electrical signals and pushing a cone to turn them back into physical sound waves. But for our question, the answer is B, microphone.
Question 47 asks about national symbols. Which is the national tree of India? Options: A. Peepal. B. Mango. C. Banyan. D. Neem.
India is rich with culturally significant flora, but one stands above the rest in terms of official national status. With its incredibly massive, spreading canopy and its fascinating, intricate system of aerial roots that grow down into the soil to form new trunks, the Indian banyan tree, scientifically known as Ficus benghalensis, is officially recognized as the national tree of India. It is a powerful symbol of longevity, rootedness, and immortality in Indian culture. The answer is C, banyan.
Question 48. The Mysore Palace is located in which state? Options: A. Tamil Nadu. B. Kerala. C. Telangana. D. Karnataka.
The spectacular Mysore Palace, which served as the historical, opulent seat of the Wadiyar dynasty, is undoubtedly one of the most famous, most visited tourist attractions in all of India, especially during the Dasara festival when it is illuminated by nearly 100,000 lights. The historical city of Mysore is situated in the southwestern state of Karnataka. The correct answer is D.
Question 49. Who was the first person to walk on the moon? Options: A. Neil Armstrong. B. Yuri Gagarin. C. Buzz Aldrin. D. Rakesh Sharma.
Space history is full of firsts, so you have to be precise. Yuri Gagarin holds an incredible title. He was the first human being ever to travel into outer space. Rakesh Sharma is a national hero as the first Indian citizen in space. Buzz Aldrin was part of the historic Apollo 11 mission, but he was the second man on the moon, stepping out shortly after his commander. The very first person to step out of that lunar module and leave a boot print on the lunar surface in 1969 was the American astronaut Neil Armstrong. The answer is A.
We have reached the last question of this section. Question 50. On which date is Teachers' Day celebrated in India? Options: A. 15 August. B. 5 September. C. 14 November. D. 2 October.
In India, Teachers' Day is a beloved school tradition celebrated annually on the 5th of September. It is a day entirely dedicated to honoring the hard work of educators, but the date wasn't chosen at random. It specifically marks the birth anniversary of Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan. He was a deeply revered scholar, an influential philosopher, and he served as the second president of independent India. When his students asked to celebrate his birthday, he requested they observe it as a day to honor all teachers instead. The answer is B.
Okay, take a deep breath. We have successfully completed exactly half the paper. We've rushed through the facts of general awareness, and hopefully, if you're taking this exam for real, you have just banked a massive solid chunk of time. Because we are now moving into Section C, Quantitative Aptitude. This is 25 questions, 50 marks. This is where the rubber meets the road, where calculations get heavy.
Indeed it is. This is where your bank time is crucial. My biggest, most urgent piece of advice here is to use your scratch paper generously. Write down your formulas clearly. Do not try to be a hero and do complex multi-step algebraic or geometric calculations entirely in your head. The psychological pressure of a ticking exam clock causes even brilliant students to make silly arithmetic mistakes. Write it out step by step.
Let's start with some percentages. Question 51. What is 40% of 250? Options: A, 110, B, 120, C, 100, D, 90. Now, I like to do mental math tricks here to save time. Finding 10% of a number ending in 0, like 250, is incredibly easy. Just knock off the 0 or move the decimal place one spot to the left. So 10% of 250 is exactly 25. If I want 40%, that's just 4 chunks of 10%. So I just multiply that 25 by 4. 25 times 4 is a nice clean 100. The answer is C, 100.
That mental shortcut is exactly how to do it efficiently under pressure. For those who prefer the rigid formula way to be safe, it's 40 over 100 multiplied by 200. You can cancel the zeros, which leaves you with 4 multiplied by 25, giving you the exact same result, 100. Both methods get you to option C safely and quickly.
Question 52. If price of sugar increases by 25%, by what percentage should consumption be reduced so that the overall expenditure remains exactly the same? Options: A, 25%, B, 15%, C, 30%, D, 20%.
This is a classic textbook economy and percentage question that shows up on almost every competitive exam. There is a very specific, beautiful little formula you should memorize for this exact scenario. When a price increases by a certain percentage, let's call that percentage R, the required reduction in consumption to keep your household budget flat is calculated as a fraction, R divided by the quantity of 100 plus R. And because you want the final answer as a percentage, you multiply that whole fraction by 100. Let's break it down with our actual numbers. Our R, the price increase, is 25. So the numerator is 25. The denominator is 100 plus 25, which is 125. Our fraction is 25 over 125. That simplifies nicely to 1 over 5. To turn the fraction 15 into a percentage, multiply by 100. 1/5 of 100 is exactly 20. Therefore, you must reduce your sugar consumption by 20% to keep your bills the same. The correct answer is D.
Question 53 deals with ratios. A sum of Rs 360 is divided among 3 people, A, B, and C, in the ratio 1.2.3. Find C's share. Options A, Rs 180, B, Rs 120, C, Rs 60, D, Rs 200.
To solve ratio distribution problems, first we need to determine the total number of parts or shares the money is being sliced into. We do this by simply adding the numbers in the ratio together. So 1 plus 2 plus 3 equals 6 total parts. The entire Rs 360 pot is divided into 6 equal parts. Now we find the monetary value of one single part by dividing the total sum by that number of parts. 360 divided by 6 is 60, so we now know one part is worth 60 rupees. Now look back at the question. It asked specifically for C's share. According to the stated ratio 1 to 2 to 3, C corresponds to the 3C, gets 3 parts. Therefore, C's financial share is 3 multiplied by the value of a part, which is 60. 3 times 60 equals 180. C walks away with 180 rupees. The answer is A, Rs 180.
Question 54. The average of 5 consecutive even numbers is 20. Find the smallest of them. Options: A, 20, B, 16, C, 18, D, 14. I can explain a great shortcut trick for this one so you don't get bogged down in algebra. Whenever you have an odd number of items, like 5 items or 7 items in an arithmetic progression where the gap is constant, like consecutive even numbers, the statistical average of that entire set is always exactly the middle number. So imagine we have 5 blanks drawn on a page, blank, blank, middle, blank, 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 blank. That middle blank, the third number in the sequence, is the average. So we write 20 in that middle blank. Since the prompt says they are even numbers, we just count backward by 2s to fill in the blanks to the left. The number immediately before 20 is 18. The number before 18 is 16. So the full sequence from left to right is 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. The question asks for the smallest, which is the first one. The smallest of them is 16. The answer is B.
That is a brilliant, elegant shortcut. It completely circumvents the need to write out a long, error-prone algebraic equation like x plus 2 plus x plus 4 plus x plus 6 plus x plus 8 divided by 5 equals 20. Your way is much faster.
Question 55. The average age of 30 students is 12 years. When the teacher's age is added to the mix, the average becomes 13 years. Find the teacher's age. Options: A, 40 years, B, 45 years, C, 43 years, D, 42 years.
For average inclusion problems like this, we use what's called the total sum difference method. First, calculate the total combined age of the original group. We have 30 students multiplied by their average age of 12 years. 30 times 12 equals a total combined age of 360 years for the classroom. Now, an event happens, we add the teacher to the room. The group size is now 31 people, 30 students, plus 1 teacher. The prompt tells us their new updated average age is 13. So calculate the total combined age of this new group, 31 people multiplied by an average of 13. Let's do the math. 31 times 10 is 310. 31 times 3 is 93. 310 plus 93 is 403. So the new total age in the room is 403 years. The difference between the new total 403 and the old total 360 is solely accounted for by the addition of the teacher's age. 403 minus 360 is exactly 43. The teacher is 43 years old. The answer is C.
Question 56. A man sells an article for Rs 660 and gains a 10% profit. Find the original cost price. Options: A, Rs 594, B, Rs 620, C, Rs 650, D, Rs 600.
We have to think about what gaining 10% actually means mathematically. It means his final selling price is equal to recovering 100% of his original cost price, plus an additional 10% pure profit on top. So the selling price of 660 rupees actually represents 110% of the hidden cost price. We need to work backwards from 110% to find the base 100%. We can set up a simple linear equation, 1.0, which is 110%, multiplied by the cost price equals 660. To isolate the cost price variable, we divide 660 by 1.0. 660 divided by 1.1 is cleanly 600. The original cost price was Rs 600. If you want to double check, 10% of 600 is 60. 600 plus 60 is 660. The math is perfect. The answer is D.
Question 57 is the dark mirror is the last question. A fruit vendor sells mangoes at Rs 36 a dozen, but he's losing 10%. Find his cost price per dozen. Options: A, RS40, B, RS39, C, RS44, D, RS32.
Yes, this is the exact inverse scenario. A financial loss of 10% means the vendor selling price is failing to cover his costs. It only represents 90% of his original cost price. The prompt tells us the selling price is RS36, so 36 is exactly 90% of his cost price. We set up the inverse equation 0.9, which is 90% multiplied by the cost price equals 36. To solve for the cost price, divide 36 by 0.90. 36 divided by 0.9 is exactly 40. The vendor originally bought the mangoes for RS40 per dozen, sold them for 36, and took a 4 rupee or 10% loss. The correct answer is A.
Question 58. A shirt marked at RS1000 is sold after successive discounts of 10% and 5%. Find the final selling price. Options: A, RS845, B, RS855, C, RS850, D, RS860. I like to track the decreasing value step by step to avoid errors here. You can't just add 10 and 5 and take 15% off. You have to do it sequentially. We start with a base price of 1,000. The first discount is 10%. 10% of 1,000 is 100. So we subtract that 100, and the new interim price of the shirt is 900. Now comes the second discount of 5%. Crucially, this is 5% off the new price of 900, not the original 1,000. What is 5% of 900? Well, 10% is 90, so half of that, which is 5%, is 45. We subtract that 45 discount from the 900 price tag and arrive at 855. The final selling price at the register is RS855. The answer is B.
That stepwise subtraction method is foolproof. For students who prefer a single line of calculation, you can also write it as a continuous multiplication of the remaining value. You were paying 90% after the first discount and then 95% after the second. So 1,000 multiplied by 0.90 multiplied by 0.95. If you do that multiplication, it also yields exactly 855.
Question 59 moves us into interest calculations. Find the simple interest on RS6000 at 8% per annum for 2.5 years. Options: A, RS1250, B, RS1150, C, RS1200, D, RS1000.
Simple interest is the easiest financial calculation because the interest doesn't snowball. The formula to memorize is principal multiplied by rate multiplied by time, all divided by 100, PRT over 100. Let's plug in our variables. The principal starting amount, P, is 6,000. The annual rate, R, is 8. The time in years, T, is 2.5, so the numerator is 6,000 times 8 times 2.5, all over denominator of 100. Let's simplify before we calculate. We can cancel 2 zeros from the 6,000 with the 2 zeros in the 100 denominator. This leaves us with a much simpler equation, 60 times 8 times 2.5. Let's multiply 8 by 2.5 first. 8 times 2 is 16, and half of 8 is 4. 16 plus 4 is exactly 20.
Question 60 introduces a snowball effect. Find the final amount on RS5000 at 20% per annum for 2 years, compounded annually. Options: A, RS7000, B, RS6000, C, RS7500, D, RS7200.
Compounding means you earn interest on your initial money, and then in the second year, you earn interest on that interest. It grows exponentially. The formula for the final amount is the principal multiplied by the quantity of 1 plus the rate over 100 raised to the power of the time in years. So it's 5,000 multiplied by 1 plus 2,100 squared. 20 over 100 is 0.2, so our multiplier in the parenthesis is 1.2. The equation is 5,000 times 1.2 squared. 1.2 squared is 1.44, so the final calculation is 5,000 multiplied by 1.44. Let's make that easier to calculate mentally. Multiplying by 5,000 is the same as multiplying by 5 and then by 1,000. 1.44 times 1,000 is 1440. Now we just do 5 times 1440. 5 times 1,000 is 5,000. 5 times 400 is 200. The final amount in the account is RS7200. Answer is D.
Utilizing that 1.44 multiplier makes calculating 2 years at 20% incredibly fast. Let's tackle time and work problems. Question 61. A and B can each finish a piece of work independently in 8 days. Working together, in how many days will they finish the exact same piece of work? Options: A, 4 days, B, 8 days, C, 16 days, D, 6 days.
The secret to solving time and work problems is to stop looking at total days and start looking at the rate of work per day. If person A finishes a job in 8 days, that means A completes exactly 1/18 of the total work every single day. The prompt says B is equally skilled. If B also finishes in 8 days, B also completes 1/18 of the work per day. When they join forces and work together, their combined daily production rate is simply the addition of their individual daily rates, 18 plus 18. This equals 28. We simplify the fraction 28 down to 14. So working as a team, they knock out 1/14 of the total work every single day. To find the total days required to finish the whole 100% job, you just flip that fraction upside down. 4 over 1 is 4. Working together, they will finish the job in 4 days. The answer is A.
Question 62. If 6 men can build a wall in 12 days, how many days will 9 men take to build the exact same wall? Options: A, 6 days, B, 8 days, C, 9 days, D, 10 days.
We use the man-days concept here to find the total volume of effort required. This calculates the sheer total volume of labor needed to finish the project, regardless of how many people show up. 6 men working steadily for 12 days equals a total effort of 6 multiplied by 12, which is 72 man-days of work. Think of it as needing 72 daily shifts to finish the wall. That wall absolutely requires 72 units of labor no matter how you divide the workforce. Now, the scenario changes. We put 9 men on the job. We take the total labor units required, which is 72, and divide it by our new, larger daily workforce of 9 men. 72 divided by 9 is 8. Because we have more hands, it will take them only 8 days to expend the 72 units of labor. The correct answer is B.
Question 63. A car travels at a speed of 72 kilometers. Convert this speed into meters per second. Options: A, 18 meters, B, 15 meters, C, 20 meters, D, 25 meters. I want to pause and remind you listening of the standard conversion trick, because doing the long math of multiplying by 1,000 meters and dividing by 3,600 seconds wastes too much time. To go directly from kilometers per hour down to meters per second, you simply multiply the kilometer speed by the fraction 5 over 18. Let's execute that. We have 72. Multiply it by 518. To make the math easy, let's divide 72 by the denominator 18 first. If you don't know your 18 times tables, guess 18 times 2 is 36, and 36 times 2 is 72. So 18 goes into 72 exactly 4 times. Now we take that resulting 4 and multiply it by the numerator. 5. 4 times 5 is 20. The speed is 20 meters. The answer is C.
It's absolutely essential to memorize that 5 and 18 conversion ratio for these exams. You will use it constantly. In fact, we're going to need the concept of M's for the very next problem.
Let's look at question 64. A train 150 meters long passes a platform 350 meters long in 25 seconds. Find its speed in IM options: A, 25 meters, B, 15 meters, C, 18 meters, D, 20 meters.
In train problems, the trickiest part is calculating the actual distance traveled. To completely clear an obstacle like a platform, the nose of the train has to enter, traverse the whole platform, and then continue moving until the very tail end of the train has also cleared the end of the platform. Therefore, the total distance traveled is the length of the train plus the length of the obstacle. The train itself is 150 meters long. The platform is 350 meters long. Total distance equals 150 plus 300, which gives us exactly 500 meters of required travel. The prompt tells us the time taken to do this is 25 seconds. Basic physics dictates speed is calculated as distance divided by time. So we divide our 500 meters by our 25 seconds. If you think about quarters, 50 divided by 25 is 2, so 500 divided by 25 is 20. The speed of the train is 20 meters per second. The answer is D.
Question 65 is a mixture problem. 20 liters of milk is mixed with 5 liters of water. Find the percentage of water in the final mixture. Options: A, 20%, B, 25%, E, 15%, D, 10%. Okay, my immediate instinct upon reading this is just to take the 5 liters of water divided by the 20 liters of milk, which is a quarter, or 25%. Is it B?
You've stepped right into the trap the exam setters meticulously laid for you. Dividing 5 by 20 gives you the ratio of water to milk. But the question explicitly asks for the percentage of water in the mixture. A percentage is a part over a whole. You have to find the total volume of the whole mixture first. The total mixture is the milk volume plus the water volume. So 20 liters of milk plus 5 liters of water equals a new total mixture volume of 25 liters. Now you calculate the percentage. The water is 5 liters out of that new 25-liter total. So the fraction you need is 5 over 25. Let's simplify that fraction. Both divide by 5, giving us 1 over 5. As we established in the sugar problem earlier, 1/5 expressed as a percentage is 20%. The percentage of water in the jug is 20%, not 25%. The answer is A.
Wow. A very dangerous trap, elegantly avoided by reading the word mixture carefully. We're moving into mensuration and geometry now. Question 66. Find the area of a square whose diagonal is 10 centimeters. Options: A, 200 centimeters, B, 50 SQ centimeters, C, 100 SQ centimeters, D, 25 SQ centimeters.
Normally, the area of a square is simple. You just square the length of one side. But in this problem, we aren't giving the side. We're only given the length of the diagonal across the middle. You could use trigonometry to find the side, but there is a much faster specific formula linking the diagonal directly to the area of a square. Area equals the diagonal squared divided by 2. Let's call the diagonal D. The formula is D squared over 2. The diagonal D is given as 10. 10 squared is 100. Divide that 100 by 2 and you get 50. The area of the square is 50 square centimeters. The answer is B.
Question 67. The radius of a circle is 3.5 centimeters. Find its circumference. The prompt says to take pi as 227. Options: A, 44 centimeters, B, 38.5 centimeters, C, 22 centimeters, D, 11 centimeters.
The standard geometric formula for the outer circumference of a circle is 2 multiplied by pi multiplied by the radius, commonly said as 2 pi r. Let's plug in the numbers provided by the prompt. 2 multiplied by the fraction 227 multiplied by our radius of 3.5. We can simplify this before doing the heavy multiplication. Look at the 3.5 and the 7 in the denominator. 3.5 is exactly half of 7. So if we divide 3.5 by 7, we get 0.5. Let's rewrite the equation. With that simplification, it is now 2 times 22 times 0.5. We can simplify further. What is 2 multiplied by 0.5? It's exactly 1. So all the complex numbers have canceled out, and we are left with 1 times 22, which is simply 22. The circumference is exactly 22 centimeters. The answer is C.
Question 68. Find the volume of a cone with a radius 3 centimeters and height 7 centimeters. Again, take pi as 227. Options: A, 198 6 centimeters, B, 22 c centimeters, C, 132 c 10 centimeters, D, 66 c centimeters.
I will walk you through the volume formula for a cone. It is exactly 1/3 the volume of a cylinder with the same dimensions. The formula is 1/3 times pi times radius squared times height, 13 pi r2h. Let's carefully substitute our given values. 13 multiplied by 227 multiplied by the radius squared. The radius is 3, so 3 squared is 9, multiplied by the height, which is 7. Look at the numbers laid out. They're designed to cancel beautifully and save you time. The 7 representing the height completely cancels out the 7 in the denominator of our pi fraction. Those are gone. Now we are left with 13 times 22 times 9. We can cross-cancel the 3 in the denominator with the 9. 13 of 9 is exactly 3. So the entire intimidating formula reduces down to a final simple calculation. 22 multiplied by 3. 22 times 3 is 66. The volume is 66 cubic centimeters. The answer is D.
That is extremely satisfying when the fractions eliminate each other like that. It's a sign you are on the right track. Let's look at angles now. Question 69. 3 angles of a quadrilateral are 90 degrees, 80 degrees, and 100 degrees. Find the fourth angle. Options: A, 90 degrees, B, 80 degrees, C, 100 degrees, D, 70 degrees. We know a foundational rule of geometry is that the sum of all internal angles in any quadrilateral, any closed four-sided shape, always adds up to exactly 360 degrees. Let's add up what they've given us. 90 plus 80 is 170. 170 plus the third angle of 100 brings our running total to 270. So 3 of the 4 angles consume 270 degrees. To find the missing fourth angle, I just subtract our running total from the absolute maximum of 360. 360 minus 270 leaves exactly 90 degrees unaccounted for. The fourth angle must be 90 degrees. Answer is A.
Excellent deduction. And question 70 is practically a vocabulary question nested within a geometry section.
Question 70. An angle that measures exactly 90 degrees is called options. A, a straight angle. B, a right angle. C, an acute angle. D, an obtuse angle.
Let's define the whole spectrum so there's no confusion. An acute angle is sharp. It measures anything less than 90 degrees. An obtuse angle is wide. It measures greater than 90, but less than 180 degrees. A straight angle is a completely flat line, measuring exactly 180 degrees. But an angle that is exactly perfectly 90 degrees, forming a perfect square corner like the edge of a piece of paper, is universally called a right angle. The correct answer is B, a right angle.
Question 71 moves us into trigonometry. What is the value of cosine 90 degrees? Options: A, 12, B, root 32, C, 0, D, 1.
This question purely tests your memory of the standard trigonometric ratios table, which you must commit to memory before the exam. Visualize the cosine wave or the unit circle. For the cosine function, the value starts at its maximum of 1 when the angle is 0 degrees, and it steadily decreases as the angle increases toward 90. At the exact moment the angle hits 90 degrees, sitting straight up on the a-axis of the unit circle, the horizontal cosine value reaches exactly 0. So cos 90 degrees is 0. The correct answer is C.
Question 72, another trig question. What is the value of sin 30 degrees plus cos 60 degrees? Options: A, 0, B, 12, C, 2, D, 1.
Again, we are relying on that memorized trig table. Let's pull the values. The standard value of sin 30 degrees is exactly 12. Now, what is the value of cos 60 degrees? Because sine and cosine are cofunctions, the sine of 30 is identical to the cosine of its complementary angle 60. Therefore, the value of cos 60 degrees is also exactly 12. The question asks us for the sum of these two values. We simply add 12 plus 12. 2 halves make a whole. The sum equals 1. The answer is D, 1.
Question 73. Let's do some basic algebra. If 2 times x plus 3 equals 16, find the value of x. Options: A, 5, B, 4, C, 6, D, 8. I will solve for x step by step here. First, I want to isolate the expression stuck inside the parenthesis. I can do that by dividing both sides of the equation by 2. On the left side, the 2 cancels out, leaving just x plus 3. On the right side, 16 divided by 2 is 8. So my simplified equation is x plus 3 is 8. Now, to get x completely by itself, I need to remove the positive 3. I do this by subtracting 3 from both sides. X equals 8 minus 3. 8 minus 3 is 5, so x equals 5. The answer is A.
Flawless algebraic execution. We have exactly 2 questions left to conquer in the quantitative aptitude section.
Question 74. What is the LCM, the lowest common multiple, of 6 and 9? Options: A, 12, B, 18, C, 54, D, 9.
The lowest common multiple is defined as the smallest possible integer that both the numbers 6 and 9 can divide into evenly without leaving a remainder. The fastest way to find this mentally is to take the larger of the two numbers, in this case 9, and start walking up his multiplication table, checking if the smaller number fits. Let's try it. 9 times 1 is 9. Does 6 go into 9 evenly? No. Let's move up. 9 times 2 is 18. Does 6 go into 18 evenly? Yes, it does. 6 times 3 is exactly 18. Therefore, we don't need to look any higher. 18 is the lowest common multiple. The answer is B.
Question 75. What is the square root of 144? Options: A, 11, B, 16, C, 12, D, 14.
This is another pure memory test from early schooling, and memorizing your squares up to 20 will save you massive amounts of time on test day. Let's walk up the ladder. We know 10 times 10 is 100, 11 times 11 is 121, and 12 multiplied by 12 equals exactly 144. So working backwards, the square root of 144 is definitively 12. The correct answer is C.
We did it. Take another breath. That is the end of section C. That was the heavy lifting of the entire paper. If you've been calculating along with us, your brain is probably tired, but we have arrived at the final sprint. Section D is English comprehension. It's the last 25 questions, the final 50 marks. This is where we test vocabulary, grammar, spelling, and reading skills.
My overarching, most critical advice for the English section is to always read the full sentence to gather context clues before you commit to an answer. Do not just look at a blank line and immediately guess a word based on vibes. The surrounding words in the sentence always point to the correct grammatical form or the proper contextual meaning. Let the sentence guide you. Keep that in mind as we proceed.
Let's start with vocabulary. Question 76. Select the most appropriate synonym of the given word joy. Options: A, sorrow, B, grief, C, pain, D, delight.
We are looking for a synonym, which means a word with the exact same or very similar meaning. The prompt word joy represents a feeling of great happiness, elation, or pleasure. Let's evaluate the options. Sorrow, grief, and pain are all profoundly negative emotions. They represent the exact opposite of joy, making them antonyms. Delight, however, means great pleasure or happiness. Therefore, delight is the perfect synonym. The answer is D.
Question 77. Select the most appropriate synonym of the given word quiet. Options: A, silent, B, loud, C, noisy, D, busy.
Again, we seek a synonym. The word quiet means making little or no noise. Let's look at the distractors. Loud and noisy describe an abundance of sound. They are direct opposites or antonyms. Busy describes an elevated activity level, not necessarily a sound level. Silent, however, means characterized by a complete absence of sound. It is the closest and most appropriate synonym provided. The answer is A, silent.
Question 78. Select the most appropriate antonym of the given word begin. Options: A, commence, B, end, C, start, D, open. Now we've switched gears to antonyms. We are looking for words with opposite meanings. The prompt is begin. To begin is to initiate or start something, so the opposite action would be to finish, halt, or conclude something. Looking at the options, commence, start, and open all mean roughly the exact same thing as begin. They are synonyms and represents the direct opposite action. The answer is B.
Correct. We are looking for friction for opposites. Question 79 follows that exact same pattern.
Question 79. Select the most appropriate antonym of the given word love. Options: A, adore, B, cherish, C, hate, D, like.
The word love represents deep affection and positive attachment. If you want the antonym, we need a word representing deep negative attachment or repulsion. Adore, cherish, and like are all varying degrees of positive affection, making them synonyms of love. Hate represents passionate, intense dislike. It is the clear, unambiguous antonym. The answer is C.
Question 80 brings us to idioms. Select the most appropriate meaning of the given idiom to break the ice. Options: A, to break something cold, B, to swim in winter, C, to end a friendship, D, to start a conversation in an awkward situation. Let me explain the historical metaphor here, which makes it easy to remember. Imagine a frozen river in the dead of winter. Trade boats can't move, nothing flows, everything is stuck. Someone has to bring a specialized, heavy icebreaker ship to literally crush the ice so that fluid movement can begin again. In a human social setting, prolonged silence among strangers is that thick, uncomfortable ice. Breaking the ice is the act of saying or doing something to relieve that social tension and get the conversation flowing freely. Based on that, the correct answer is undeniably D.
A perfect historical analogy. It's also worth noting that idioms in English are almost rarely literal. That rule of thumb immediately eliminates options A and B, which try to trick you by using the literal words break and cold or winter.
Question 81. Select the most appropriate meaning of the given idiom, to let the cat out of the bag. Options: A, to reveal a secret, B, to buy a pet, C, to make noise, D, to run away.
This is another fantastic idiom with a supposed historical origin. It allegedly comes from old, bustling livestock markets where a dishonest vendor might try to sell an unsuspecting customer a valuable piglet wriggling in a tied sack. However, the vendor would fraudulently substitute a cheap, worthless street cat into the bag instead. If the buyer became suspicious and opened the sack before paying, literally letting the cat out of the bag, the trick, or the secret scam, was instantly revealed. Thus, in modern parlance, to let the cat out of the bag means to accidentally or prematurely reveal a hidden secret. The answer is A.
Question 82, test spelling. Select the correctly spelt word. Since you can't see my screen, I'm going to have to spell these options out for you, which is honestly a great test of how words sound versus how they are written. We're looking for the word maintenance. Option A keeps the verb intact, M-A-I-N-T-A-I-N-E-N-C-E. Option B shifts the vowels, M-A-I-N-T-N-N-C-E. Option C is M-A-I-N-T-I-N-A-N-C. And option D goes heavy on the E's, M-A-I-N-T-E-N-D-C-E.
This is notoriously one of the most commonly misspelled words in the entire English language, which is exactly why it's on this exam. People know the root verb is maintain, M-A-I-N-T-A-I-N, so they logically but incorrectly try to keep that tain spelling in the noun form. But English is tricky. When it becomes a noun, it drops the I entirely and changes the vowel structure of the middle syllable. The correct dictionary spelling is M-A-I-N-T-E-N-A-N-C-E. Maintenance. The correct option is B.
Question 83. Identify the misspelt word among the four options. A, sentence. B, grammar. C, accommodate. D, possible.
Let's mentally check the spelling of each one. Sentence is correct. It ends in E-N-C-E. Grammar is a classic trap because people want to end it in ER, but it correctly ends in AR, so option B is fine. Possible has the correct double S. That leaves us with option C, accommodate. It looks a bit bare, and that's because it's missing letters. The strict spelling rule for this word is that it requires both a double C and a double M. It should be spelled A-C-C-O-M-M-O-D-A-T-E. So C is the misspelt word.
Question 84 moves into grammar. Select the most appropriate